What?
Why? Hey,
Like
Steven.
here alone? This is what you do?
Yes, I swat flies. They've decided that today's a good day to fly up my nose. And
Uh,
and of course the LinkedIn Live, which I spent 20 minutes preparing for in advance and set up, push the go live button, and then it stopped working.
I got a lot of people that were like, you say a lot of stuff, but we never see you. And I was like, they were like, that was cool.
All right, well,
I
awesome.
know. I'm like, all right.
Okay, now give me the configuration page since you're not working,
I'll
LinkedIn.
be back. I'm gonna refresh my coffee.
All right. See? Placed it with something else. Let's see what happens this time. Still spinning.
It's a good time to add Zoom to my machine.
Hello.
Hey, Livio.
Good to see you, David.
Good to see you. I'm trying to make the LinkedIn Live work, which is a hilariously bad experience, honestly.
Yep.
And Zoom is screwing it up, or LinkedIn is screwing it up, or both of them are screwing it up. But Zoom keeps changing the streaming URL, so I know it's Zoom. Yeah. Like,
I wonder if you had a fractional CTO to fix it. If only.
Are you open to proposals, David?
and you can't get directly to the configuration page. You have to tell it to launch the stream, and then it fails, and then you get the configuration page, and then you change it. And it worked the first time when I changed everything, but now it's still going back to the ones from last week.
Sounds like another day in the shop.
Right. It must be made of software. Diego, good to see you. Karen?
Hello. How are you?
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to work today.
Hey, sorry I have my camera off. I'm just finishing up lunch. It's a late lunch, so I'll be on short.
I'm just wrestling with technology, we do all the time. Things that are supposed to work.
In the life.
Stop timing out and let me configure you. Very frustrating.
He's just stuck on preparing live stream on my end, so I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I hit the go live button. I had the stream working for 10 minutes in advance. Like I could see it in the preview. I hit go live and it didn't go live. And then I tried to reconnect it and nothing works. So, yeah.
Oh, no more preparing stream. Oh, again. Came up again.
Where are you seeing that? Oh, you're seeing it. Are you seeing it in the Zoom client?
Yeah, on my client, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I could check. Are you trying to live stream it on LinkedIn?
Yeah, but I mean, you're not going to see anything there because I can see the event page and I can't hit go live. So this is the life of
a fractional.
Yes. Of a content
meditation.
Adam, good to see you. I'm going to keep intermittently fighting with this thing, and maybe it will start working. But if not, then we're still can talk here. We're here to talk, so let's talk. What's going on in everyone's fractional lives this week?
Oh man, I'm going to render Atlanta to hopefully meet other fractionals and other people that I might collaborate with. So that's exciting.
I saw your request, and I had like 5 minutes before that saw someone in my network post on LinkedIn that they were at the Atlanta Tech Week or whatever, and I was like, and they were looking for people, and I was like, let me connect you guys, and now I can't find the post.
Well, whenever if you know anybody, just send them over. I'd love to just be like, hey, what's up? Hailing from South Florida, just talking smack and fixing problems. Livio.
So render, which part of Atlanta Tech Week is that? I mean, I didn't click the pages to find out, so
I mean, me neither. A friend of mine just invited me, and I was like, "Oh, this looks cool. Oh,
let's
the deal's
go.
good.
Let's find out.
Let's go." But I think that's like the main conference of the Tech Week. I'm assuming, but there's going to be a lot going on there. Somehow, I'm going to manage to push deliverables while I'm there and networking and stuff. You always figure it out some way. So,
Yep.
But yeah, that's what I got going on. On top of just working on a few new projects that I closed back to back. So that's exciting. Like I told you, David, it was like suddenly, they just kind of popped up out of nowhere, and I was like, oh, great, exactly what I'm looking for. And wouldn't have happened unless I started calling myself fractional CTO, to be honest with you, and having people be like, oh, Livio is a technology leader. All right, perfect, let's do it.
Right. That little bit of even a simple positioning change, like fractional CTO, changes how people see you. And can make a huge difference in just how they think about you.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
We had also talked about pricing and the difference between one of the things that we talked about was it kind of came up in something that I think Jonathan Stark sent and it came out of a conversation with someone else, pricing for like nonprofits, where if they see an hourly, you come into a nonprofit and say $250 an hour, and they're like, well, I make $25 or $50 an hour, so you're insane, right?
Yeah.
Then your value different. Your value never gets thought about because they're like, well, you're crazy. But when you come in instead and present a fixed price or a monthly retainer or whatever that is not based on time, then they can see that differently. They're not looking at you and counting your hours. They're going, oh, okay, you're going to do this thing that we see as valuable. It's going to generate us, $200,000 of, funding or whatever it is, and suddenly they're right on board.
Yeah, that's that was also the year that I had a conversation about early on about just like trying to figure out how to price that stuff, or rather how to deal with that conversation. I think it's very easy to understand the value-based pricing as a concept. I think it's a lot harder to implement, but I had a moment in one of those contract negotiations where I had already placed it as hourly, and then they were like, oh, we're just concerned, like, you give us a certain amount of hours. I was like, so I just kind of brought it down. I was like, look, I just put it in hourly just so that you don't understand more or less like the level of commitment that I'm putting into this. But at the end of the day, like, these are the outcomes that I'm going to shoot for anyway, whether it's 10 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours, no matter how many hours I put into it, you just care this is fixed. So here we go. That's so it was just a complete 180 of the conversation.
Right.
That well, more like a 90, but my 90 in the right direction. But it was
they were waffling over here and then they went.
Yeah, and it was just kind of keeping that in mind. I think it's something that should be like part of like some sort of like fractional 101 situation, right? So which is what we're here for.
It is really hard to roll back the hourly. It sounds like, when you've presented and talked about hours, it's really hard to back that up because now it's in their head. It sounds like you did a really good job of managing that and turning it around, though. So that's awesome.
Yeah, but it's exciting. Hope to hear some other war stories from fellow fractionals in here. Well, while I'm here as well, and make connections. I really got a connection from Diego. Hello on LinkedIn.
Hello.
Diego, so have you left the agency completely, and now fully independent, or are you still?
I am on the transition, let's say.
Okay. Yeah.
I am doing some consulting with a couple of startups here in Latin America. But yeah, I am still in the agency. I need to finish the contract and organize a few things.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Now, were you just kind of leaving and someone else was taking over, or did you partner and merge that off?
no, it's yeah. I merged my agency with another company.
Okay.
I'm basically I had a team of people that's going to take over the control completely.
Cool. Awesome.
Basically.
I worked with Diego on a project last year. Well, with one of his teams last year.
Yeah.
Making the connection that wound up with the project. So, it was
yeah.
Yeah.
Now to try to focus more on product. I mean, I've been in the consulting industry for a long time, working for agencies. I built my own agency, so now I don't want to build my agency anymore. I prefer to work maybe solo or as CTO in a product company. That's what I want to do for the future.
Awesome.
So I am now experimenting with that and with that role, and also experimenting with some new tooling around. Last week, I've been playing with these AI platforms to build applications, that kind of things, and it's been very frustrating. I don't know what's your experience with that, but they are just a promise until now. Replit is the only one that work reliably for me, but Lovable, Bolt, Cosmic, I tried all of them, and also another one that I don't remember. And they are basically like a dumb programmer because everything they build is broken.
I love it.
You're like all the time, rebuild again, fix this, rebuild again. It's like, oh, come on.
I haven't messed with any of those, but it's good to hear they work like we expect them to.
It's funny. It's funny because I had Claude write me. I asked Claude for a wireframe for a solution, and then instead it wrote me a React app. And all I wanted to do was give me a list. All right, select from a list. And then give me a modal that shows all the information for the specific list entry. And the modal didn't work. Like I just want a modal. I just want a pop-up that shows me the information and like a couple extra buttons so I can show my client. So I had to ask him to create a separate view in a separate HTML file so I could show it to my client. Right. So it's cool. They do a lot of like scaffolding stuff and a lot of like code block level really well if you're very specific. But again, I mostly agree with that. I think that a lot of the hype is definitely to be taken with a grain of salt when you actually go and code. Yeah.
I'm having the complete opposite experience to that. I have written so much code in the last 2 weeks, it's ridiculous. And I've got it hooked up to Sonar Cloud, and I'm watching it increase its own test coverage. And I'm verifying that it increased the covers, not just lying to me, because it'll update the README file and then it'll spit back out, oh, look, according to the README file, we reached 100% or like 95%. And I'm like, no. Like, what's the command output say? And I'm sitting here, I'm like, I've got Claude code running on that screen. I've got Claude desktop. So my update for the CTO or for the fractional piece is that yesterday I decided, you know what? I'm going to create a website. Is it the most important thing I should be doing right now over getting leads? No, I should probably focus on getting leads, but I'm going to a networking event tonight. And I started yesterday and it's created me a website and it's amazing. And it's spit me out 3 potentials. And I picked one. I said, that one, create me a design system. And I've been sitting here all morning. I actually, due to unexpected capacity constraints, Claude is unable to respond to your message. Please try again soon.
No!
I'm like, fuck, I can't do anything. I might as well go have lunch or something.
My intern fell asleep. Quick, give him more
I know.
More caffeine.
But I sat here this morning and I create like my webpage is basically ready to go. And I did some very detailed things and I'm super impressed. I don't know. a lot of people are having this, having negative experiences, but I have had nothing but positive.
It's a mixed bag. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't used, like, Diego was talking about like Bolt and Replit and tools of that nature that are intending to like take the engineer completely out of it, right? Build a finished product. Um, and you're talking about using, the Claude code or whatever, right? Which is kind of a semi-automated, it's more like an IDE integration still.
Absolutely.
Right. So you're still driving it, you're still controlling it.
Yeah.
But what I found, I mean, so I hate the IDE integrations. This is me, my own workflows, my own personal pet peeves, the reason I mostly don't use a lot of the IDEs. I've used Aider pretty heavily, which operates in a shell and does some of the same thing. And like when I need to look at a larger context of code, and things have changed a lot. Like every 3 months, things change a lot. So I haven't done any of it in about 3 months.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But
I tried bolts a while ago, and then I think my tester mindset came out, and I was actually like, we were trying to break it, and we were doing dumb things. But the other day I realized at my last company, I was fractional, and then I went full time with them. I paid $15,000 US, and I say that because I'm in Canada. I paid $15,000 US to do a design bake-off between two designers. Like I gave them the same design brief, and I wanted to see who created the best design. And I realized last night with my website, like I have actually paid $15,000 US to get what I got.
and you got it in an hour, in a couple of hours.
It took me more time to realize that, oh my God, I had saved all these website links to use as references. So every time I was in a fractional coffee or whatever, people would share their websites. If I liked it, I would bookmark it. And then I was looking at my browser last night and I was like, oh, I've got all these things bookmarked. Just create a website with this. Use this as inspiration. And it came back, and I showed it to my wife, and that's really good. It's like, yeah. So I don't know. It's
We have to learn to like step back, use our product hat, which you've been using, right? You've been on your
absolutely.
product side.
Yeah.
You be product, think about it from a product perspective, then let it build something. Then you come back in and start debugging it and get back in engineer land. But you've got to like spend time up front with that design, the product, figure out what it's supposed to do. Then you can kind of let it build, then come in and we start fixing it and we make it production.
Yeah, like you were mentioning the terminal experience. So Claude Code is all terminal. And I asked it to create a PRD. And in there, I was asking a bunch of questions. And one of the things was less than 5 millisecond response time or something like that. And then it made a bunch of changes. And then later on, I was like, okay, what's next? And it said, oh, well, we should, change the backend design for performance reasons. And I'm like, well, we have no evidence that I'm actually talking to it like I would talk to an intern, right? Like we have no evidence that the performance isn't suitable. So why would we do that? And it's like, you're absolutely right. And it went, and I said, write a bunch of performance tests. So it did. And then at Best Buy, I was like, oh yeah, the performance is totally fine for now. Like, let's leave that feature. And I was like, yeah, let's build something new.
Nice.
Yeah, it just, it's kind of blowing my mind a little bit. And because I'm able to go in and look at I'd never be able to write that much code on my own or keep track of it.
Yep.
But because I'm going in and looking at it, I'm developing this competence in it, and I'm watching it make shit up, and then I'm challenging it. I'm like, hey, wait a minute, like you said that's not true. And it's like, oh yeah, let me double check that. Yeah, you're right. Okay, like that's the trick with these things is, you can set it up to go completely autonomous, but I hooked it up to Sonar Cloud, and now it won't be able to push unless the Sonar Cloud gate passes. So it's running in the background right now. It's like fixing a Sonar Cloud failure. I'm like, oh, amazing.
Cool.
you feel though
Anyway,
that
I'll stop rambling
Uh,
because I'm really fucking excited about
yeah.
it.
So do you feel though a bit? So my experience has been that it's trained on existing data, so it's got strong, what do they call it, like idiomatic tendency, right?
Yeah.
The issue, it's kind of almost like how they talk about the stock market. If did we find an inefficiency in the market where we're getting this huge gain, or is the market already accounted for this inefficiency? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think what I found, because I was doing some work over the weekend, just trying to figure out sort of the NVIDIA CUDA hardware OS dependency stuff, which is fun. And I did get some local models running. And if you're doing something that is not already done, which I think is really the value in some way. So there's sort of companies that just, we already know what exists, like say, and they just haven't done it there. So like some of us, like fractionally CTOs or whatever, I'm more from the DevOps space, but you know, you're trying to help them do something that we know exists, like alcohol, gunpowder, and configuring systems, or how to write Python, right? We know this exists. You just haven't done it here. That can really help them in terms of the boilerplate getting. But when you get to the actual, like, I was trying to get it to just write, just kind of think more like, some novel ways that are not really that new, but it just couldn't do it. It just kept going back to if you're trying to get it to write code a certain way or something, if you're doing something more scientific or just it's not the accepted thing. So that would be like innovation or actual, like I would call it actual value. Otherwise, so in some ways, I think it's pushing hard to fill in those inefficiencies of, tech has solved all these things, just not evenly. But but once we get through that, and then the other kind of hit is that part where they say, it's been trained. The other thing I noticed actually this weekend, it felt like a big shift where that the big pop of AI, or LLMs to be more specific, was that they were able to go on the open internet that has happened up to this point. And then the minute in the last year, everyone's closing it off because they feel there's all kinds of issues with this. Over this weekend was the first time I actually noticed that Stack Overflow and some other things have now human captcha gates. And so there might be this thing, and I had one of my like mentees ask, is it going to get dumber? I said, no, it's just going to you just won't ever get that big pop again, where we basically, it's kind of like the music, sorry for such a long talk, but the music industry, another analogy where, once all the music went online, this whole inefficiency of finding the music just disappears, and you can hear anything ever written within seconds. But that doesn't make it easier to find music you like, or things like that, or make the music. And so the inefficiencies are, you could do the same thing with the stock market and speed of information trading efficiencies that sort of started to have diminishing returns. So I think, Adam, you're experiencing like, it's awesome when it's something that's very clear and had been done. But I literally couldn't get any of the models to write a more desired state style conditional convergent thing at all. They just don't get it.
You
just cannot understand it. Well, not that it understands it all.
Left-handed guitarist.
What was that, Livio?
Left-handed guitarist. Like you give any of the milestones, like show me a picture of left-handed guitarist, they don't, because they just don't have a reference of it. Because they don't have enough references in their training to draw a left-handed guitarist. And
that's making it up.
That's exactly what Steven's talking about here.
The flamingo on the bike test or whatever.
They will always be behind, because especially when we talk about technologies and innovation and the ability to create and come up with the new things, because they're trained in history, right? And we are going to go through a trough of availability, right? That as all of the companies who have been companies and individuals who have, because not all of the information on the internet is from these companies. They just happen to be, what people put on Reddit was put there by people, not by Reddit. And then before that, it was on web forums. And before that, it was mailing lists. And before that, and parallel to that, it was Usenet, right? There's been a long history of this. And self-published on their own websites, which we then called blogs later, and all of this. So that trend will continue. I think what's going to happen is that people will stop going to the walled gardens because they want their information. The people who are sharing their information, and this will take time, will want their information to be available to these tools. Because if I publish a solution, I'm not publishing it because I just want to throw it out into the air. I want people to fucking know about it.
Yeah, right.
And if I go to Reddit and I used to, I would post solutions on Reddit, I would post solutions on Stack Overflow, not to make Reddit happy, not to make Stack Overflow happy, not to make their advertisers happy, but to make sure that people got them.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's the platform where the eyeballs were for what I was posting. When those eyeballs stop going there because people are stopped posting things there, they were going to go through a natural cycle. Now, I mean, I love Stack Overflow. It has a place. I believe it will continue to have a place, but it's going to be different. Reddit.
They're even releasing an AI feature. Did you see that? There's like an AI section on there. So I haven't tried it, but
I did see that the CEO posted in the MLOps Slack, which I signed out of a couple of months ago. So now I'm gonna have to go look at this message because I got the Slack message that I hate. You haven't seen anything in the past couple of months, so here you go.
Yeah.
I have to log in to go turn that off.
Yeah.
But
I
also
think-
want to see what he said.
Yeah, to Stephen, to talk about what you're saying, I totally agree. Like, I'm not doing anything that's novel. Sorry, my kid.
And not in a bad way. Sorry, like it was.
Yeah, no. My kid set aside some steak, and then he put his name on it. Milo, don't touch, and then you'll see that it's empty. It's in a bag on the.
Welcome to the
by
workplace.
Pepsi. That was just a joke. Sorry.
That's great.
Dad joke. I hit it.
Yep.
In another spot of the freezer. He made carne asada tacos. He's 14, so that was what he did for dinner last night. I guess what I'm seeing, and I didn't take what you said, Stephen, as a slight on what I was doing. I think what I'm seeing and what I'm experiencing, and there's another guy that I'm chatting with, is that the limit is no longer, because I span like engineering and product. The limit is no longer the 2-week sprint. It's my ability to write that idea. If it's a generic idea, it's my ability to describe that in a way that the machine can do it. And it's kind of like when I was in my early career, I was in software testing, but I was a technical tester. And I know everybody thinks like, pounding on keyboards and following scripts. No, I was like Sherlock Holmes for the software. And then this whole shift left movement came and people started viewing quality differently. And they didn't value that investigative mindset that I brought. So I can write code. I don't want to. I can troubleshoot. I'm a fucking master troubleshooter. I can tell you what's wrong, but I don't want to fix the algorithm that's blah, blah, blah. Like those details because I'm like ADHD or on the spectrum somewhere. I'm like, I don't want to do that. But man, I sat here and wrote so much, I don't even know if I can claim if I wrote it, but I sat here and I'm interacting with Claude Code like it's a peer. And I'm learning shit about Git that I didn't know.
Ultimately, the role of the producer.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I don't have to wait. I don't have to struggle to explain my idea to anyone. And the whole getting 3 versions of a website, and it was a lot less than an hour. I think it took me 10 minutes to write the prompts.
I wonder, thinking about future, I wonder if, so we see producers in TV, movies,
Rick Rubin,
video games. I wonder if the role of producer will migrate into software as we do. It's kind of a product role, and it really is. The producer in video games is very much a product role. They're the ones understanding the features and why the players use them and all these things, right? But that might become more of like that producer role might move into regular software because they are really orchestrating what's going on with all these different pieces of software at that early phase as we're assembling it and bringing it together.
Same word, right? Like, I mean, that's so this idea of if you come from any kind of, production background. I was a production artist in video games, right? Or I played music, or you did print, or whatever. Like we used to say, "Oh, you've done production, you're going to be fine here." And it didn't matter what it was, kind of thing, because you understand the process of production. It was only like in the internet boom that you start seeing people called product owners or product manager. like we just called it a producer, right? Like that was what it was, and then it also, you get into the fuzzy project management versus product stuff. And I think tech especially has really struggled with any of the P words. I mean, they really struggle because it's just so fuzzy. I don't know how many product owners that were just project managers I've had. And then there's this I think, Adam, you held up the book, like the sort of what is good product, right? And there's like these people like Marty Kagan or whatever, like these kind of style. You probably have, yeah. So like, but it's kind of like as a music analogy, it's subjective again, like just the fastest drummer isn't the best drummer, necessarily kind of stuff too. So I think David's right. Like the role of producing, I think, will be part not of just the tech thing, but maybe that's more the CTO role now, where it's not so much because if you can write a web-based application in an hour, so can everyone else.
Yeah, right.
And that's the thing. That's what I mean about the inefficiency. You didn't really gain anything. I mean, it was good for you, like you did it, and now we have it. But overall, if anyone can do that, then that's not an issue anymore, and we're quickly arriving at what is the issue. And
it's still the two other ends of it, right? It's the figuring out why it broke when it's running, which is one side of problems, which you can use the tools to help, but they're they're very bad at proper real troubleshooting. And the other side of it, I have to assume you meant to share screen there.
I did, yeah, because you did. I did this as just before you started talking. I said, "Hey, Claude," I said, "What do you think?" This entire check-in was done by Claude Code, and it's went through Sonar Cloud, made sure Sonar Cloud is good, and I'm letting Claude review it, and we'll see. We'll see. I don't know.
So we've got the debugging it in production once it's running, and solving for bugs, and we have the why does this matter?
Mm-hmm.
The
semantics.
Who does this matter to? Why does it matter? What was it supposed to do to begin with? And of course, as Stephen was alluding to earlier, actual innovation. Most of what we write and build, even when we're doing actual innovation, is just a reproduction of something somebody's done before, right? Everyone, all the same code before. It's the little piece, the little nugget of why does it solve a problem? How does it solve a problem? And sometimes it's a really big piece. I mean, sometimes it's an LLM-sized piece of magic that happens, but everything around, for example, the LLM, everything around the LLM is the same old boring shit we build all day long in SaaS.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that that it's amazing at scaffolding. It's amazing at getting outcomes. But the fact that that you're gonna have that many more applications that are trying to be production ready, when they are not, or because they've reached a point where only the LLM knows that what is in the actual application, right? Then that's where people like CTOs are going to be really, really freaking handy. So even though I was a little upset that I could do so many of the things that I spent so many years refining out of the blue, I'm still like, the human behind it doesn't know all of those things. So they're going to call me eventually. So that means I'm most likely going to have more jobs floating around to work on. So
that's the perspective I'm taking, is that, there's going to be more code, and if everybody can do it, but not everybody knows how to do it professionally and maintain it. That's why I set up Sonar Cloud, was because somebody challenged me, or something, not didn't challenge me, but they were like, "Oh, it's writing so much duplicate code." And I was like, if I was in the workplace and somebody said that to me, what would I do? And I'm like, I'd run it through Sonar Cloud. That's where I would go check. And so I set it up, and it looked like it had 2,000 lines of duplicate code. And then I started digging around, and I saw that it was including like the scripts directory. It had written itself a scripts, and I was like, okay, cut that out. Turns out there's only, it went from like 80% duplicate code, which was what Sonar Cloud was reporting, to like 5%, because I removed all the stuff that it shouldn't be scanning. And I was like, that's a neat little idea, because if my kid can be a developer now, right? But he doesn't know how to troubleshoot and maintain and fix and, nor do half the product managers out there that are going to go crazy with this. Like maybe there's I don't know, pipeline as a service, or maybe that exists. I don't know. I haven't looked. Like, hey, Vibe coders, go through our pipeline.
I, I I think there's a big opportunity for the fractional CTO to not be like, I have some friends that are like trying to do the whole I can help you navigate AI, but it's more of the like how not quite how to get rid of your developers and use it efficiency. That's one choice that you could make to do that and explain how it works and all this stuff. I think really it's more what David and you're saying, like the whole you need a human to articulate the business that you need and how tech serves that and how to translate that into the thing, given that you can wave a magic wand and have the best developer on tap, at any moment. But what you need now is the person who can help you attach. Now that we can just do anything, you could like go to the thing and put in cheeseburger and it spits it out, the printer, the outcome printer. The printer now is ubiquitous. It's magic. It's like a novum, like anything you want. Now you need someone to help you actually say what you want. And I think what's funny is it's going to be like you can't do your IT strategy based on keyword, like tool names anymore, right? It has to actually be something because all these tools were just making it easier to write this code. And so we're going to see even, especially DevOps, you're going to see that just flatten, like just go away. Like why we're, in some ways, we were only writing Terraform because that helped people write it. You don't need Terraform now. Like you shouldn't, but the LLMs like it because they like their language model, right? But to your point, David, like, they failed at Google in a way. I have a friend on that team about, can AI sort of do maintenance and repair and understand? No, it doesn't understand. But right now, if you, in some ways, if you shrink the depth of the knowledge, maybe you can extend the inference. But inference is, I mean, these are models based on basically on the path, like they're Bayesian or whatever. Like this is it. So you'd have to almost Monte Carlo this stuff and say something like, I don't know, just like it's almost like tell the AI smoke some weed or take drugs, like guess, like do something because that's really where it comes from. And I think we can still help businesses with that.
I'd love to stay longer. I feel like it's just ran into a room full of internet elders. Because I was born in '94, for the record. So it's
I
really
saw
cool.
you when he said the
we were talking net
list or whatever.
No, they were talking about like what was it, Net Easy or something. I was like,
nope. Sorry.
I was on it when Netscape was a thing, and that was my introduction. Netscape and Firefox on top of Internet Explorer.
Yeah.
But that was when I came of age. But I love to stay. I love this. I look forward to next week. But yeah, definitely would love to connect with y'all individually. But I'll see you guys in the chat, and I hope y'all have a good day.
Thanks, Livio. Good to see you. Oh, so fractional lives. I know we got into the fractional plus AI. It's an easy thing to fall into, and I actually think we actually had some good conversation there, good outcomes, good thoughts, because like that what's next and what does that mean for fractionals is a real challenge, and we have to try to figure out how to at least ride it, even if we're not ahead of it. Or follow it, because if we're following and doing cleanup. But Karan, so you unmute. Go for it.
Yeah. I was just gonna add to that AI discussion that we've been talking a lot about the generation side of it, and that's certainly even my experience is similar to Adam's, where it's like been mostly positive. There's definitely experiences where like it will kind of introduce bugs or have a lot of code duplication and those kinds of things, but overall, kind of, I think that for solved problems, I'm seeing the productivity gains that Adam was referring to. But the other thing I wanted to bring up is the higher level thinking and strategy. That has been super helpful for me because, there's so many ways you can architect a system, and like riffing with like ChatGPT or any of the LLMs on kind of ways to architect something. A lot of times yielded ideas that I wasn't even thinking about, and paths that I'm going down, which I didn't see myself going down. And including like, providing context, right? Like, whether it's architectural decisions that have already been made. Okay, we're in AWS, so stick to AWS services, or like this is the architecture diagram that exists today, and this is the piece that we're trying to build. Like it's been pretty amazing at taking the existing context and applying that to like good strategy and decision making on what we are trying to build. So I really have been using LLMs heavily for that kind of stuff. And
It's phenomenal as a thinking partner.
yeah,
It's
And
I find I don't
summarization.
it depends on your prompt. I found a guy. I don't know if you've all seen the Claire Vo. She's the product manager at Launch Darkly. She's the head of product. I think maybe engineering, but she has a podcast called How I AI.
Is she the one who started Blunt Darkly?
No, I
Oh,
think she
okay.
joined afterwards, but she actually created something called Chat PRD, which is a tool that she's created, and her workflow is completely automated. So she's writing. She's got a business now, and she's running it on the side. She's actually hired developers, even though she's got like almost like an agentic workflow. She uses something called Devin, which I've looked in, and I was like, oh my god, like not another one to explore. um, but using it as a thought partner. So sorry, I was saying that because she had a guy on, and he released his prompts that he uses, and apparently, well, I've looked at. They're really good. They're in a repo, and I was like, God damn! Like, I'm trying. Like, I think my early career when I was writing bug reports, I was very terse, and I'm used to being very terse. And now these people are writing these prompts, and they're like even the prompt for the Claude review, the auto Claude review that I just did, that prompt from Anthropic is 7 pages. And I'm like, God damn, like I'm writing 4 sentences.
I'm lucky sometimes to write 4 words. Come on.
And I'm like, I think I'm used to this terse, engineer to engineer communication, cutting out irrelevant words, and we're writing basically a prose. I'm like, damn, but as a thought part,
My own personal experience, and this is not to take away from what Anthropic is doing, because they're doing actual research and testing, right? Is my own personal experience is that a short prompt works as well as a long prompt. I could take somebody else's really long, complex, convoluted prompt that's got all this stuff in it. I throw it at ChatGPT. I use Claude some, but not that much.
Yeah.
And then I can get just as an inconsistent output from that as I can from a 5 or 6 word or sentence prompt that loosely or specifically or vaguely describes the idea of what I'm trying to achieve. I can get the same inconsistent output out of both of them.
yeah,
I found that giving it like, especially for more the thought work, like Karen's talking about, like the some executive sort of thinking or decision making, where really what is it besides intelligence gathering or information gathering, and then sort of a little bit of reasoning, and then just what's the make a decision kind of thing. But for writing, specifically for writing, if you're not strong, I'm not a strong writer, like, or like
Oh,
at least for English, right? Like
I'm figuring
code
out
stuff. Yeah, like shell, I'm fine, right? Or something like that. But like the English and all the syntax and stuff, for especially for formalize, that really helps. But the sometimes taking more context, giving it like, here's the email I got from the customer. Here's what the sales guy said in short language, like David's talking about, and here's some other person, like how they would write it, and then it'll kind of, and then you balance those weights. You kind of then from there I tune it. That's basically
And I
when
just
I
tune it with conversation too,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
I just say a little stronger on the on the uh on the salesy part or
That type
whatever.
of thing I find Claude is much better at. 4.0 has gotten better with GPT.
Mhm.
And I think it actually got better when it wants to be me, because when now that's using memory, or not just memory, but the history of
Yeah.
the chat histories, it's gotten better at becoming me. Whereas I could get Claude to do it in complete isolation using the API. I could just hand it a small corpus, and say, "Be like me," and it would read that, take a look at that, and all from conversation context. But GPT was always bad at doing it at that.
Right.
But Claude was really good at, like, you take those 3 things, say, okay, I want to sound like Steven over here in his technical email, but I want to say this type of thing that this other
Yeah.
guy's saying.
Like,
And then I want to fill it in with some data, like this guy does his data in his presentation, and we want to talk about this topic.
Yes.
And I just start filling in some rough sketches of the topic, and then boom, it'll like take all that and give me something. And then I'm like, maybe a little more of this, a little more of that. And it's just conversational.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that humans are really good, especially with language. Like English is kind of already 50% redundant. Like there's not a lot in it, but you can totally tell. I think what we're saying, I started to say the word nutrition almost about the thing where it can say all the words. So, you know, when someone really doesn't know, they're just like, tell me about blah, blah, blah. And it like fills in all this stuff, but it's low information. And I think this is helping people understand information science in a way. Like there's a lot of words, it's all written well, but there's no like, where's the thing? Like
There's no
and if you show like a bunch of marketing work, like if you show it to a professional marketer, their whole game is they know how to say all that like that and everything. And they're like, they've said to me, there's nothing in there though. You're missing the thing. Kind of like eating potato chips, you know what I mean? It's not nutritional or it's missing.
Yeah.
And so I think that what we're talking about in some ways is you're trying to basically re-inject into information-less structure the formality of the sort of semantics and language, but something in there that actually is meaningful. If you get that right, I sent some emails to people and I said, which one do you think I wrote and which one is like augmented and which one's just me? Like you said, that sort of vibe of you is that information stuff that's hard to replicate. And you can get it by just making sure you're saying something in there. But the people that just want to fire off a like AI response, it can't make that information. And that's interesting. It can't, there is no way. I mean, that's kind of that's the theory is like you
Like,
can't infer something unknown, right?
For my fractionals coaching content, right? Which is where the only place I'm producing content at the moment, other than these things. And I find my best comes from if I take a conversation. So if we sit down and have a conversation, my discovery calls, for instance, right? 30 minutes free. That's for me. I'm giving you something, but this is not unpaid. I'm getting a article out of this because I can take this conversation, this recording and transcript that you agree to when you sign up for that thing. I take it, I feed it back into the LLMs. I get it to take me out of that, use me from that, and what we talk about. And then, because we usually talk about something important, that we're talking about pricing and packaging or whatever, and turn that into something new for my corpus of content, right? But it didn't make it from nothing. It made it from our conversation. And so as long as I can give it something, and similarly, I've had reasonable success, but then it starts to get a little weird with say, okay, here, take these articles that I've done and the general concept of, say, running a fractional business and find something I haven't talked about yet. Give me some ideas. And that works for ideas. But if I try to get it to craft an entire something new, you get some weird crafty
Sugar. It's
right?
sugary. It's
But
like
so
calories.
instead, if I take the idea and then I start riffing on that idea,
Right.
and I'm not formalizing it. It's no more formal than our conversations right now.
Yeah.
And I just start spitting ideas at it, then have it work from that. And I'll do that in a notes file in my, article drafts or whatever, or I'll do it live in the chat, depending on my moment. Or it will just inspire me to have a conversation next time with a group of you guys, right?
Yeah.
And then I really get the thing that it can work from and build something useful.
Yeah. I think David, you just proved that there's layers to information. You can have data with very little information. And so this is like, it's like having sugar and calories without nutrition. And I think that this first phase is like, it can generate all this meaningful data. But what it really is it's stuff we understand and is semantically like it's in the right language. Like the computer is now talking to us in a way that is much more natural for us. But that, like to Claude Shannon or anybody that's done information theory, that has nothing to do with the meaning coming through. And so you can have high in a way you can have high data. Most people call it high information, lots of content, very little information. And I think that's kind of what we're struggling with. Is they call it slop. It could be too dead, or it's just sugar.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, great idea, and you have people like basically delusional that the thing helped them invent something, or it's and so there might be some delusional CEOs out there that think that they could use the thing to do their strategy, but we could probably help them. I don't know.
If we can find them and get them to talk to us.
Yeah.
Any delusional CEOs out there, would you love to chat? We would love to chat. Come join us next Monday.
Yeah. Where are they?
Oh.
Is this going how you kind of planned? I know you're still recording, but is this going? Are these?
Oh yeah, there is. So the Monday open coffee is literally, let's get fractionals together and talk about what you guys want to talk about with no structure. So, because I also run, and I've been taking back over, so I help start the fractional CTO VPE coffee on Rands, and that's every other Thursday. That is a specifically structured lean coffee structured meeting. So, and these were originally designed for in person, I guess, but everybody pivoted their lean coffees to online and found a way to do that, because used to everybody would take a Post-it note, write their ideas of what they wanted to talk about on a Post-it note, you go stick it on a board, and then people come in and vote on the Post-it notes, right? And they reorder the Post-it notes. So we use Trello and similar fake, project management tools that pretend to behave like Post-it notes on a board.
Right.
Since that aligns well with Scrum, there's a lot of tools out there. And so that idea is, I like it, right? Because it really like helps bubble things to the top, but it's 8 minutes, 3-minute extensions, voting, instead of just let's just talk and see. So I like the unstructured. I love unstructured things myself, right? Up until a point.
Yeah.
So as long as if we get 20 people in here, we'll have to figure out how that works.
Yeah.
But like with 6, it works fine.
Yeah.
I found that the topics got repetitive too as new people came in, because that has such a wide reach, and every 3 weeks would be like, how do you get leads? I was like, oh, we just talked about
And it's
Which is
fine. I mean,
fine.
it is focused and specific, and somebody
Everyone
says, how do you do this? And every now and then we get new ideas too.
Yeah, absolutely.
We get new people with experience and new people without experience. It's not all the same people all the time.
Right. And you didn't necessarily solve that, right? It's like you want to hear more stuff.
Yeah.
But
I still haven't solved it.
Yeah. And you mentioned it,
I haven't
Adam,
either.
like some of us, like, I mean, this is like being really like real about it. Like, some of us this is good practice too, to talk in these settings. I tend to talk a lot, or what, and so even today it gave me a chance to listen, like practice listening,
Right, yeah.
and things like that, and try, I don't know. So it's good.
One of
It's
the
even
challenges
help.
I'm having, and I think I kind of mentioned this last week, where I went to this CTO conference and I had like a script, and
Yeah, you said that, yeah.
and then I get there and then I don't talk to it. And then I ask people like, what kind of issues you're having? And they give me some not like issue that I am not, like, I don't know, marketing or something, something that's completely tangential to what I was hoping they would say. And so I'm going to an event in a couple of hours here. It's a med tech event. And I'm going to try some different strategies tonight of like surfacing the answer, like guiding them in a way to talk about the topics that I want to, but not telling them,
Right.
Yeah. This
Instead of
is,
saying, what are the I said to one woman at the conference, like, what are the challenges in scaling your business? And it was like, it was something to do with marketing or website or stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, that's great. And then the conversation just died. Like, well, yeah, but you're building a product, right? So
Those who haven't seen the notes that Firefly dropped in the chat, we must check out the last one, because this is a good action item for next week.
it takes what's weird is different modes, like controlling, if you've done sales, especially like software enterprise, like controlling as an architect or something, controlling the conversation is like a bunch of it. But then you're in the social event, and like you can't. You're not like funneling them so strongly. You got to let people just kind of get like so. I actually think that if you're going to an event like that, sometimes it's good to just talk about something completely different, like the dad joke or my son was making tacos. Like, because there's always like really at those kinds of things, you're at the thing. No one really like I found that they get kind of fatigued about the thing that you're at. But what you do is you make connections and then you follow up later. And then there's always time for like real work, right? And so I always, there's always other stuff to talk about. And then you can be like, hey, we should follow up on that. Can I help you with the specifics or something? So don't be scared to just talk about the carne asada, right? Like
well, that you raise an interesting point, Stephen, because I'm like, I make these connections and I sense camaraderie or like a rapport with the person, right? And then I come back and I'm like, well, what do I say now? And my wife is in relationship management. She worked at LinkedIn and she's been, she works in alumni relations at a private school now. And like, so she's a master communicator and her whole career has been relationships. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that means.
Let me tell you just straight out, right, directly. When you go to these things and you meet people, the next thing is you want to meet with them again. Like you're driving to a 30-minute meeting, and then what you do there is go, it's great meeting you. I'd say this to David, it's been great meeting you. We could just be friends. I like hanging out, like whatever. I want to know why you have the ocean behind you, but also here's what I do. And I'm not sure that I captured exactly what you do. And I just want to make sure that maybe that's the meeting after. That's what you want.
That's amazing.
Okay? Yeah. So, but you meet them and you try to get that follow on. You'll get a 90% no hit rate on the follow up. But when someone if they do meet with you, it means they really do have a need, especially if you've already said, I'm a fractional CTO and I do things. They will reach out. And then that next meeting, you got to drive it like, again, nice to meet you. We could be friends, anything you need. But honestly, here's what I do. And tell me more about what you do. And then if you get one more meeting is the one where they bring in their team and start saying, and NDAs fly and stuff like that. I think, unless David disagrees, but I think so. That's one tactic, right? To say, what's next? Another 30, just getting them to commit to another 30-minute meeting is like.
So my summary is, hey, we met. I like to hang out, make new friends. Here's what I do. But the piece that was different is, I'm not sure I fully captured everything that
you do
going on with you.
Yeah. And then they might just let it rip. Man, my CTO, he's like, right. And then he's like, they got this fractional guy named David. You're like, oh.
Well, that's a good point. You get in, like you do your intros again, you chat a little bit, and you ask a stupid question like, so what's hurting this week?
Yeah.
That's when you can ask the question.
Yeah, right? Not while they're drinking and there's noise and you're like, wait, what? And then it's just not the venue. It's really, you're just soliciting to get follow on. If you're it sounds like you're spending time and money to go to these things. And and let me know where to mail you my cards and you can hand those out too. When you go. Thanks, Adam. Here's a stack of cards.
I forget where are you geographically?
I'm in Stockton, California.
Okay.
So about an hour from the Bay. Yeah.
I spoke to a woman in Boston, a recruiter in Boston today. And I was like, hey, why aren't the Americans hiring more Canadians? Like, we come with a 30% discount off the top. She got a good laugh out of that. So she apologized for the States.
Well, but now we can't deduct your salary as an expense until we no longer get to deduct as an expense in the same year we spent it. We have to depreciate it over 10 years or something. So.
Oh, is that a new rule?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Oh, wow.
Right. Hey, thanks, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Steven.
Thanks, Adam.
We'll see you later.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah, man, it was good.
Yeah.
I'll try to
I'm gonna extract his piece of the transcript. I'll send you a copy of it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Where he just said that because that was golden.
That was really good.
Which is the value though of
the
everybody, they ask the same questions, right? We can ask the same questions as long as the audience starts shifting. I know it gets old. Believe me, I know it gets old. Right? But sometimes somebody pops up and says this, and you're like,
right. I found I found that with the Rands one, right? Where like your answers were a lot of times to go like read Jonathan Stark and value-based pricing, and I loved that. But after a while, I wasn't getting new out of that, right? And I joined his email 365 course. Actually, I didn't sign up to be in that Slack group, but I'm in the email 365. And
I did it once. He was offering it free for Ditcherville members. And when he was trying to exercise it and work it out, and I did it. Well, I did it. That is to say, I was like, well, I'll pop in and pay attention. And of course, I was busy. So
but I guess after a while, it's a lot of time investment for that little needle in the haystack, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. But this was great. I like the smaller and the less formal myself. So I found that when there was a topic at the other one that I didn't like, I just would tune out and do something else until the 8 minutes was up.
It's like natural too, right? And it is part of the listening problem that we all have.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it was brought up here today. A couple of weeks ago, we had Jan. Were you here when she dialed in from London?
No.
It was very cool to have. I mean, anybody who's listening, Adam and I spend a lot of time with CTOs. It was very cool to have somebody in another executive seat, in a proper.
Yeah.
The CTO is not always an executive, and somebody who's in the proper executive seat, right? She's a CFO, fractional CFO. Spent time in big finance and all these things, and so she had it was really great to hear kind of her view on things and her take on things. And I hope that we can get more. That's the whole point of this community, of the fractional community, is to try to get fractionals together, talking about fractional problems and exchanging ideas about how, what's next. Like, I'd love to have this same conversation with CTOs and CFOs, right? About AI and what's next and how do you use it, because they're going to see something completely different than what we see. We always dive to the technology. We always dive to the code, but it's not the only thing it does.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I mentioned that last week. Like, I think some of the front doors for us as individual fractionals is actually through the CFO, right? So I think that one of the most powerful things I did, David, was I explained to the CFO the cloud bill.
Right.
And I they see the final number, but I'm like, no, like, I had everything tagged properly. Like, I could account for I almost had like a bomb, like not that kind of bomb, like a bill of goods, right? Like, bill of materials from the robot days. Like here's what goes into the cloud bill, and here's how it's broken out across engineering. And here's a dashboard where you can go look and see if the costs are going up, or, you can keep an eye on it too with me. Right. Like, and that built so much trust, because I was, and I think they really, and the outcome of that was not, that company was not good. But I think that relationship building, that to me is the only time where I was like, oh, I need to build a relationship. Oh yeah. How do I do that? And so I did that, but I think sometimes a lot of the front doors are through those roles. Like, even HR, like, what do you wish that engineering people knew about the rest of the org? Right? Like, that's another one where it's like, I'm sure that's a question I can narrow it down, right? Instead of just saying generically, like, what's HR's biggest problem? Is like, what do you wish engineers do when they're interacting? Oh, that's a good one, actually.
Yeah.
So, thinking to myself. Anyway, man, I will let you go. This was great.
Cool. hope to see you next week then.
Okay, man.
right.
See you.